Hello and welcome back to Stoney-ole. We hope you all had a good festive period and that everyone's having a good new year so far. I'd like to say a massive thank you to all the many new subscribers, everyone that's viewed the last video and the previous update, everyone who's done a shout out. It's been totally overwhelming the amount of people that have watched, commented. It's just blown my brain. In this video, I'm going to answer some of the questions that were brought up in the last update from various people. And I am also going to show you how I've built the kit that I am using for the Vilage Church. There's also going to be a little bit of running. So I hope you enjoy. Right, so I'm just in the process of putting together the little skull that I'm using as a church, and I just thought I'd show you it before it was rendered. So I've done the rendering. And I've just started to put tiles on the roof. Not done the other side yet, it's a bit fiddly. To be fair, all of it's a bit fiddly. To do the rendering, I just used bookbinding glue, which is, I think it's a form of PVA. It's just some I had kicking about anyway. And a very, very small nail brush that I picked up for painting little engaged people. So I've just painted the glue onto the areas I wanted the render to be, and then I sprinkled this over the top. I bought it from the Gauge Master stall in some of the shows, and it just sprinkles on and sticks to where the glue. If there was any that I'd managed to get the glue on some of the little stone details, I just scraped it off with my nail. The tiles that I'm doing at the moment are from York Model Making. I chose the slate colour. You get a fair few of them. I made a mistake. I thought they came with the ridge tiles, but ridge tiles come separately, so I need to do another order and get the ridge tiles before I can finish it off, but never mind, we live and learn. I just thought I'd jump on and say that the instructions for this skull were really, really good. They worked for the way I work, in the fact that the instructions over here and then a picture of what figure A, of what part A actually looks like, and where you put the glue, and all sorts of little helpful details like that. I quite like the fact that they're all colour coded as well. I found that really helpful. And how to stick on all of the stone detailing and things like this. It was a really good set of instructions with a really helpful bit of how they finished it. You don't have to finish it that way, but it's just that's how they've done it, with the right coloured paints that they've used and all sorts, so you can get the exact effect you've seen. If you saw the stall, you can get the exact same effect as the one that they had as a demonstration model. I shall put up a link to this, but yeah, very, very worth getting, in my opinion. It's gone together nicely. It was easy to build, even though mine's not quite finished yet, but the instructions were amazing. So this is the progress on the church sofa. I know the roof's not stuck on. It'll go like that. The only reason it's not stuck on is I made a boo-boo. I ordered these roof tiles thinking mistakenly that they came with the ridge tiles in the same pack, but no, you have to order the ridge tiles separately. So I'm now waiting on the ridge tiles to be delivered, which with all the postal strikes and the Christmas post and everything is taking a little bit longer than the roof tiles did to arrive, but it's all good. So all the renders on. It looks quite nice. The roof tiles were a little bit tricky to put on. It took a lot of patience and going, like, pulling them back off and trying to get them as straight as I possibly could, and with the same spacing so it didn't look silly, but it's turned out all right, I think. You can see the texture on them a bit. I did do the first layer of tiles where I put a second layer of tiles underneath it. Apparently, I've been informed this is what they do in the building trade, except instead of a full row of tiles, it's a half row of tiles. You can just about see it. Oh, until I knocked it there. You can just about see the second row here. Just about. And it's to slow down the run of water, I believe. I could well be wrong. I'm sure I'll get corrected. But yeah, for me, in the modelling side of it, it just meant it didn't end up with a white bit of card showing through between the gaps in the tiles. So that's why I've done it, even though I've been reliably informed that it is what happens in the building trade. I have managed by some miracle to get the same number of rows of tiles on this side of the roof as I have on this side of the roof. Don't know how I managed that, but you know, sometimes the luck of the gods is on your side. Trying to put the roof tiles on this little bit here, I don't know if you can see it particularly well down here, was kind of challenging because I'd already stuck that bit of roof onto the porch before trying to stick the roof tiles on. And equally, the bell tower, I have also put tiles on its roof, which was only 2 tiles wide, so that was a little bit fiddly, but I'll show you that when it's all completed because I don't want to get it out of the bag and end up losing it. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with it so far, and hopefully in the next video I will be able to show you the completed version. Right, so this is the church finished, as in the construction's finished. I've done lead flashing around the chimney pots and where the roof joins the building. It's a bit shiny at the moment, it is just tin foil, so it needs weathering in a bit. I'll put it down, see if that helps. The ridge tiles are now on, so it just needs weathering, and then a little light putting in the hole at the bottom so that you can see the stained glass windows better. Right, so the church is finished. I did use some acrylic paint to do the runs from the lead. The lead flashing is tinfoil, painstakingly stuck on, with a bit of pale grey acrylic paint just to dull it down a bit. I've used WWS's black soot weathering powder just to make everything look a bit less clean, and splodges of green moss. I made the cross, I don't know if you probably can just see it, out of the blanking chips that you get in the locos before you make them DCC. I unsoldered a couple of pins, cut one down slightly, and very carefully super glued it to the other one to make the cross. And then just put a little hole in the tile and a dab of super glue and stuck it down. Oh, there was lights on. I've obviously just knocked the battery. I've just stuck an LED inside, and at the minute it's very crude. It's just taped to a battery, which is probably why it's now gone off. But yeah, I've put all the details in. Now these bits at the end of the roofs are in. And the same at this end. And some more LED flashing. I'll just spin it round. You can just see the back. Right, so I've just literally plonked it. If it'll stay focused. It's been plonked on the banking near the railway. I don't even know if that'll be its final resting place. But it looks quite good. It needs setting in properly, and it needs some scenery around it if it is going to stay there. But there again, it might end up in a little village that hasn't been created yet. So we'll see what happens to it. So for Christmas, I got this beauty. Which is imported from Japan and is a 500 type Eva from a Shinshen 8-car set. And the box looks like it's got some sort of transformery type thing on, which is quite interesting. I also got the 2017 Operation North Pole Christmas tree for my birthday, which hasn't occurred just yet, so it's slightly early, but when something looks that good, there's no point keeping it in the box for an extra few days, is there? It's still at the moment running in DC because it only arrived the other day and we've not managed to get a chip for it yet. And I also got for Christmas Maritime. It's been specially painted because they don't produce them at the minute, and it's gone on to a Graham Farish 66 body. It's been running and is looking beautiful. So I've been very lucky this year. The Japanese train I fell in love with when I was showing a picture of it about 1.5 years ago. And the one I saw and fell in love with was a Tomex, but this one is a Kato and looks pretty much exactly the same. The only reason this isn't running at the moment is because the way it couples together means that it doesn't fit around the corners without coming off. The curves are too tight. But can always take it to Collins Engage's layout once he gets that up and running, and it'll have a bit more space to run fast. So this is the wall that is behind the watermill. I've just put some rocks on. So these were pre-painted rocks that I inherited from Collins Engage when he took his layout apart. And I've filled up any gaps with foliage. So I've used some lichen, which is this bit over here, and just sprayed it with glue and put on some scatter. And then the other bits are like clump foliage that have just been stuck in the gaps to fill it up. The colour likeness is actually not too bad from the ones that I've painted. So these are the bought ones, and then these are the ones that I've painted myself. And I think you'll agree actually the colour match isn't too bad at all. Right, so I've had a few questions on the last video. Someone was wanting close-ups of the rocks. So there you go. They're not quite, I think it probably needs some more foliage putting in to try and make it look more natural, but for now it's not too bad. And there's we're in the quarry area. Haven't done any more on that bit yet, but you know, there's time. I was also asked about how the two tracks were totally separate from each other when they joined on. So this is the inner loop and this is the outer loop. They both have their own bus wire, and the points where they join up, I'm just trying to see if I can show you. I don't know if you can just see here by this green wire, there's a plastic fish plate, and the same again over here is a plastic one. I've had to be careful with my solder so that it doesn't bridge the gap when I've put the auto frog in. And it does that sort of thing on each and every crossover. So this one, there's a plastic fish plate here and one there. And again, I've had to be careful with my solder that it doesn't cross over the gap, and then it kind of totally misses the point of having the insulated frog fish plate. I hope that makes a bit more sense. So now I can put DC or DCC on each one of the inner or outer loops, or both. And as long as the trains keep going round the outer loop or keep going round the inner loop, they can either be DC on one side and DCC on the other side. The issue is if they need to swap lines, they can't do that when they're not both DC or both DCC. I hope that makes sense. Right, I also just thought I'd show you how I swap the power over from DC to DCC. So this is a DCC Pico box, and out of the back comes just two cables that are then all clipped together to go into the two separate bus routes. So one's for the inner and one's for the outer on both the white and the blue cable. This other one here is just going to the programming track. And here is my DC controller. It's just a cheap Hornby one that came with one of those pre-set up kit type things. And again, it's got the clips on. So to swap it over, I literally just, I don't know if I can do it with one hand actually. Unclip this, pull the wire out. Oh, can't show you, sorry. Put it back in there, into the one attached to the DC controller. Clip it up and do the same for the blue wire into there. And then it's good to go. I just have to make sure all the points are pointing straight on so that they don't cross over onto the other loops, and then that's it. I hope that's of some help anyway. Bye. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed it and that you had some of your questions answered. Take care, and I shall see you in the next update. Bye.